Lucky my sister was there.
For my story, I think you'll need a little background. My grandparents have this little house close to the sea on a residential street. There, it's mostly full of old people, and in the summer full of kids, so it was quite a peaceful place where a kid could walk around without being afraid. Or so I thought. When I was maybe 6 or 7, my sister and I were home alone in this residential house, and none of my friends were out. My sister, being 3 years older than me, was watching TV and didn't want to play with me, so I took a ball and went out to play. A few minutes after, I got bored and sat at the entrance of the house, thinking and feeling a bit lonely. My sister has always been a bit paranoid. She usually would check up on me a couple times, but this time was different. She didn't want to watch TV anymore and sat by me. We talked and joked. Then we noticed a car speeding in the streets. We thought nothing of it except that those people were crazy to drive that fast. Then, a couple minutes later, we saw that same car pass again and again. At this point, my sister was freaking out, while I was confused as to why those people would pass again and again. I thought that maybe they took the wrong direction and got lost. Oh boy, was I wrong. The car passed one more time, but this time entered the residence and parked the car right in front of us. The windows were pitch black. My sister got up and so did I. The window rolled down, only to show 4 men in the car. One was driving and looked like he was the oldest. With a cigar in his mouth, he looked like he was in his 40s to 50s. And the 3 other men were between 19 and 27. They were all smoking and smiling at us. One of them looked super excited, looked me in the eyes and waved at me to come. Then they all started to call for me as my sister was opening the door. She pulled me in and closed it. We waited for about 15 minutes and they were still there, looking at our door, waiting for us to come out. 20 minutes later, they were gone. When I think about it, I'm seriously scared and thankful to my sister. But still, I wonder what would have happened if my sister didn't stop watching TV, or if those guys tried to break in. Please be careful when you're outside.
Followed around campus.
I've been reading Let's Not Meet stories for a while now, and I decided to share my experience with you all. A little background about myself. I'm a 19-year-old female. I stand around 5'2" and roughly at 115 pounds. I am a sophomore at a university. Anyway, around midterms, a chemistry teacher decided to have a midterm review, so there were people from different chemistry classes. The room got crowded. I was with my best friend Leo. Leo and I noticed one of the students sitting next to me at a distance. I didn't care because the class was full anyways. During the review, I noticed that the guy was slowly scooting closer and closer to me. Note that I am a bit claustrophobic. Leo noticed as well and he told me to scoot closer to him, and so I did. Thus, the guy began staring at me. He is sitting next to me on the right side. The board is also on the right side, so if I look up at the board, his face is there. I began getting creeped out. I made eye contact with him, and I shit you not, he gave me the creepiest fucking smile I have ever seen. Finally, the midterm review was over, and as I was getting my stuff ready to leave, the guy was standing at the door, staring at me with that same fucking smile. Leo notices and tells me to stay with him. As we were leaving, the guy noticed that Leo was not leaving my side and left. Sadly, this wasn't my last encounter with this creep. 2 weeks later, my best girlfriend Ella is walking with me. It was 8 at night and we just finished our late class. It was dark as fuck, but there were some lights. As we were walking, guess who I see? The same fucking creep from the review. I look at Ella and tell her that that is the same creepy ass from the review. And she told me to just ignore it. I make eye contact with the guy. I swear I was shitting bricks at this point because he again gave me the same fucking smile. Ella saw it as well and told me to just keep walking, and he will just keep walking. I shit you not, this creep turns around and starts walking behind us. I kept looking back, but not looking back too obviously though. Ella and I are pretty much freaking the hell out because we were far away from where the cops usually stay. At this point, we are speed walking. We hear him whispering stuff. I couldn't really pick up what he was saying. Thankfully, we see campus security. I look behind me to see that he was even closer than ever. My friend Ella and I walk towards the security and pretend we are going to talk to him. The creep nopes the fuck out of there and walks away once he figures we are going to talk to the security. Ella and I sit down because we were shaking pretty badly. I have not seen Creepy Guy for the rest of the semester, and neither has Ella. And now that the new semester has started, Creepy Guy, let's not meet ever again.
Creep has a photo of me.
This story happened about 4 years ago, when I was about 13. So to preface, my mom was leaving town for a week, so she decided to send me off to a summer camp, 5 hours away from where I lived, to my hometown. This camp was a week long in the summertime, in the forest, in the middle of nowhere, doing camp kind of things and staying in a cabin. And we had to take biology class every day. The biology teacher was a middle-aged white guy, like maybe 30 to 40s. Nothing really extraordinary about him. So for the first half of camp, he comes off as a little bit flirtatious towards me. But I didn't really think much of it, because although creepy, no red flags had risen. So maybe 4 to 7 days into the camp, all of the kids and the teacher went to a beach at a lake a little ways away from our campsite to talk about the environment and whatnot. We had to walk there, which was about 30 minutes. Everyone was up ahead of me, and I was lagging behind because I had hurt my ankle earlier. So I was the last person in line. Ahead of me was the teacher, and ahead of him were the rest of the kids. When we're walking along the beach, I notice the teacher turns his head around, and he's staring at me and smiling. His smile isn't completely creepy, but it's definitely edging more towards creepy than friendly. I noticed that at his hip is his camera. To explain a bit better, he was still walking ahead of me, head turned and smiling at me, looking in my eyes. And to his right side, he has his camera pointed towards me by his hip. Like, what the fuck? I kinda just smiled meekly and didn't do anything about it. I've always been a non-confrontational kind of person, especially since I've always been petite to average size. And especially at the age of 13, I was roughly 90 pounds. Nothing unhealthy about me, I've just always been an average height and naturally really skinny person. Nothing else really happens the next couple of days except on the last night. I woke up in the middle of the night and see him looking into my cabin window. I was creeped out and he just walked away. The next day I avoided him on the way back to town. My mom picked me up from our town and we came back to my current place of residence, and I didn't tell anybody about it because I didn't think it was that significant. I know some people might scream about how I should have come forward with this information, but I figured it wasn't a totally big deal, since he didn't lay a hand on me or come off as a complete perv to anyone else, and I would have had literally no witnesses or proof to back me up. And for that I regret not coming forward to anyone, but again, I didn't think it was a totally big deal, and I never saw him again. I kinda just forgot about it years later, until this summer. He got caught for being involved with child porn. The police found tons of child pornography on his phone, and other creepy things, like him being at McDonald's and taking pictures of children, and zooming in on their butts, and just violating things like that. He's in jail now, but creepy summer camp teacher, let's not meet again.